Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Well, welcome in here to Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon on what has been kind of a somewhat stormy day for a few locations. A lot of us just in dealing with the heat. I think the heat largely dominates once again tomorrow, but the rain chances gradually day by day are going to get a little bit higher. At 10 p.m. here this evening, we're kind of concentrating on, of course, some of those storms, believe it or not, still linger at this time. We'll track those for you here in just a couple of moments, as I just can't quite kick that. It is a sign of the overall pattern where we just have just the right amount of lift that we can kind of keep some of these storms going later into the evening. Rain chances will definitely increase on your Tuesday. There's no question about that. And we do anticipate that storms remain spotty into late this week at least. And honestly, I think Thursday, a day where they're probably a little bit more than spotty, as there's plenty of moisture and just what we call a shear axis aloft that'll keep trying to lift and produce some of these summertime thunderstorms. From time to time, you kind of see some raindrops there showing up on that camera, and 8 to 10 you saw down a moment ago there. At least I saw a couple on that part of the screen. Still lighter variety rainfall. You can kind of see that in the corner there on our map that does show Starkville and does show 8 to 10, of course, on the west side there of town. Temperature rain cooled to 73, but that humidity at 100%, a reminder that from time to time we are going to have some patchy fog out there for tomorrow morning. Probably extends your morning commute just a little bit as a result, where you had some of the heavier rainfall. Also some glossiness showing up because there have been some showers around Kosciuszko, and you can see most of those a little north of our camera location there. So from time to time, right there, you'll see a couple of flashes showing up there of lightning in and around that area. 73, of course, rain cooled at that point as well. A look at the latest on Mississippi Live weather radar here. Again, there's those thunderstorms there around the Kosciuszko area. If I kind of look at this and we put this into a 30-minute loop, you'll notice they are definitely on the downswing. Maybe 3D does even a better job of kind of showing that, how these thunderstorms just are kind of going through a bit of a collapsing phase. You see how they were a little taller just a little bit ago and now kind of diminishing just a little bit more at this instant. And that's overall largely a story in a lot of locations out there where the storms remain just very spotty, really at most. The batch that we're looking at out here closer to, say, locations up around Union, Pontotoc County, those are a little bit heavier as well, just in the last little bit, and also a couple around Booneville. We can look in more detail here, do a 30-minute loop on that. Those thunderstorms there, again, fairly spotty in nature, so not a lot of heavy rainfall out of that. In fact, just checking some of the rainfall rates on that there, you see they're not terribly impressive. It's a sign that more than anything, they're a little bit lighter variety as far as that's concerned. Let's get back over here to Mississippi Live Weather Radar and look out here closer to New Albany and Thaxton there. Again, those thunderstorms, just some lightning. I mean, you look at total strikes, they're not over the top there again. So rainfall as far as today has been concerned has been decent in some locations. I'll make this the 24-hour rainfall going back even to last night, and again, widen this back out here across North Mississippi in general. Certainly the heavier rainfall amounts have been up here closer to the Tennessee state line. We have some locations up around Benton County, estimations around 2.5 inches. Louisville, again, where those storms haven't really moved. Yeah, we for hours this evening had rainfall down there. Have not had a lot of reports of some flooding issues related to that. That in our area is the most significant that we have had there. And a lot of that, again, if I just show the 3-hour rainfall total, most is within that time period. So between we talked to you at 6 and now, the storms didn't move. And that often happens in this setup where we just kind of get a stagnant pattern and things just don't really move very quickly. So rain coverage diminishing as we go into the evening, down to about 20% or so. We'll say certainly probably less than that most locations by 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, 75, 74, 5 a.m. Again, starting off low 70s. with some patchy fog out there. And yeah, while I show 77, obviously some locations are rain cooled a little bit below that. We're dry through 8 a.m., we're dry through 11 a.m., though things becoming more active really just beyond that. 1, 2 o'clock, some thunderstorms starting to pop up. Wider shot here does show we're watching kind of this wave of energy back out here to the west of us. Another way to kind of show that, again, probably looking at our satellite perspective here. And I'm going to show this a lot this time of year, we call the water vapor. And that's one of the things that we can kind of depict the overall pattern. Of course, we have the fronts up to the north of us. They are gradually sort of heading toward us, not doing a terribly effective job. But as we talked about during our 5 and 6 o'clock broadcasts, one of the important factors here is you have the overall shear in the atmosphere and the way this works. We kind of have this mid-level area here where we have this clockwise fashion. High pressure kind of aloft the story there. Yeah, we have the surface high down there. Again, these are all kind of components to play in. But then you also, generally speaking, have this high pressure back out here. And in between, where you have the winds going that direction at one spot and that direction the other, there's shear, there's a difference. And that is the factor that's producing some of the rainfall chances that we've had and will continue to have over the course of the next couple of days here. So a lot of things going on in the regional perspective. Certainly back out there into Arkansas, things are much more active into tonight, likely stay that way. But notice those storms diminishing before they ever get here, which is why we spend the overnight hours dry, with just a little bit of cloud cover out there to begin the day. Again, most of the rainfall still solidly back to the west of us. Dry 8:39, 10 o'clock in the morning for tomorrow. Rain chances do pick up a little bit more as it goes toward midday, but we do expect that this kind of wave, looking kind of latest runs here on our HRRR model that we're utilizing here, those rain chances definitely increasing a little bit more into the afternoon for our area, obviously, as that wave comes in, and some of that could extend later into the evening as well. So I'm conservatively showing about 30% 6 p.m. We'll talk about that in a second, but obviously dry through 9 a.m. or so, and by noontime, maybe a couple pop-up showers there, 91. The temperature goes down a little bit by 3 p.m., not because the temperature necessarily goes down on the whole, but I think there'll be some rain-cool pockets out there, high temperature somewhere in the mid-90s. And then that 30% 6 p.m., 20% for 9 p.m., could be underdoing that just a little bit. I want to show you the very latest look at our Futurecast model as we break that down here in a couple minutes. I do anticipate that, again, there will be probably more thunderstorms than what we had today for tomorrow, and that timing could be shifting just a little bit later. Coming up in 60 seconds, we'll look at that in more details. Mississippi Live Weather at 10 continues right after this.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know. March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. Their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
I see what happened here. So I wonder, let me show you some behind the scenes stuff here at the station for a second. And what happened is I think I had some kind of internet bump at some point, and I thought our feed had gone down, but it makes a lot of sense now. So hold on, so let me get this on camera one. You know what, we haven't really done a tour behind the scenes, so we might as well do that here for a second to kind of show you a little bit about how this works here. So camera two, and nope, let's go the other way. I want to show you kind of behind the scenes. It's not going to go all the way there. We're going to flip all the way over. There we are. Come on. There we go. Okay, so here's kind of one of the things that I use here behind the scenes to kind of look at what's going on here. So this is kind of the main thing that feeds out to all of your different feeds that you can see. But right here is where I monitor basically the viewing that you guys can see, you know, the chat back and forth that we have on this. And unfortunately, that image was locked up. So in the commercial break, I looked up there. I was like, wait a second. Nobody's watching. And I went to reset. I was like, okay, well, I'll change it from studio feed to 24-hour automated. There's a bunch of things that go on behind the scenes on that. And sure enough, it's just that one image was locked up there. So when you have more toys, you're more likely to have more issues related to that. So give me a moment as I kind of swing things into place. So I was like, man, nobody saw the first half of the show. I got to restart it. Well, obviously you did. And like any good web browser here, let's go ahead and come over and click F5 refresh. And let's then jump back ahead so we can catch up with where we were supposed to be in our discussion. Do that. We'll hit F1. And I'll walk on over here to Chroma Key and we'll talk about this. So anyway, some behind the scenes stuff. One of these days we're going to get this right, I promise. Outside in Caledonia right now, of course, we've had some showers around. No showers there at this instant. Of course, the radar image in the corner there kind of giving you a general idea of what we have as we look out generally in kind of a northerly direction at this time. 78 degrees in Caledonia at this instant. Looking at Mississippi Live weather radar. And I want to come in here again. We've seen a few of these thunderstorms. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these because we just kind of broke all these down. But when we look up here closer to, say, Union and Pontotoc counties, these storms have actually gotten a little bit stronger in the last couple minutes here, as you'll see on this loop. Again, lightning is not over the top. You can see behind my head there only 5 strikes over that period in time. So again, it's not super duper impressive, but again, it's a heavy rainfall. I just wanted to check in on them just to kind of show you more detail. Again, looking at this, we're not talking about something that's super duper tall. Thaxton, you're kind of getting the worst of what you're going to get at this moment here. Same thing back up there toward the Poolville area. Another way to look at this is to kind of slice through this, what we call a cross section. We cut across it like that. As I slide that northward, you can see, again, our precipitation up around 25, 30,000 feet. So again, it is high enough that that could still have maybe 1 or 2 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts with it there. Heavy rainfall, obviously the main impact out of that and any of our other showers that we have out there at this time. So hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow, we're about 74 degrees at 7 a.m. We're 91 by noon and 90 degrees as we head toward 3 p.m. Rain coverage again, probably peaking 3, 4, 5 o'clock. At least the greatest confidence is there, but I think we'll certainly have some showers and thunderstorms that extend beyond that into tomorrow evening. Our winds continue out of a westerly direction. So again, futurecast here, as we kind of touched on, next couple of hours, those storms largely fall apart and we should be in pretty good shape. As we head toward early tomorrow, again, just patches of fog out there for some locations to begin the day. Not everybody, and it's one thing Futurecast sometimes does a difficult job looking at, but where we do have, again, I think Louisville, you've had a ton of rainfall this evening. You are one of those spots, probably going to have some patchy fog early tomorrow morning. Low temperatures, about 73 in Senatobia, 74 for Clarksdale, 71 degrees Water Valley and Oxford, and about 73 Columbus and 72 in Vernon. So progressing through your day, again, the majority of the activity initially back to our west as we head toward 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, still to our west. We head toward a late morning, again, still out here closer to the Mississippi River. But then as we head toward midday, a few more of those thunderstorms start popping up closer to us. Cleveland, we're looking at you about 2 to 3 o'clock. And yeah, by 3 to 4 p.m., a lot more showers and thunderstorms starting to pop up out there. Heavy rainfall, some lightning and gusty winds certainly possible out of these. Now, before we move any further, I'm going to take my little show here out of play. And I want to hack into this for a second, as we sometimes do on our off-air stuff. I mean, if today's not going to be our perfect show, then let's do our best to kind of make sure we've got the best stuff we can give you. I'm going to adjust this over to a slightly different model run, and I want to show you how things change a little bit. In particular, looking at the precipitation there. Now notice how on this particular projection, it does wait a little bit longer and is slightly less organized with the thunderstorms back to the west. You can see by 5:30, 6 o'clock though, again, most activity still west of us. And that's one of the reasons I think we probably should have tweaked up that percentage on that hour by hour a little bit. We're going to update that for the app coming up here in a couple minutes because of course this data coming in here fairly recently, but still showing, again, that heavier rainfall and maybe 1 or 2 of those thunderstorms stronger, closer there to the Winona, Grenada, Eupora area by around 5:30 to 6 o'clock. So looking at those high temperatures for tomorrow, they're going to be up there around 94 in Houston, be about 94 degrees in Grenada, 92 in Eupora, 94 Starkville, Columbus. While this is the high temperature, obviously, in many cases, you could potentially hit this and then start popping up a couple isolated showers. But I think our projections are more effective at trying to move some of that activity in as opposed to necessarily just pop it up here. This has been the story all day. Sorry today's been your day there in Bruce 106. We've had that forecast for your heat index tomorrow at 3 p.m. In a lot of ways, not a very pleasant day, is it? 103, that heat index in Amory and Vernon. I mean, a few spots into the mid-90s, but that more the exception of the rule than the rule. And that heat index is going to be up, on the average, 102, 103, a lot of spots for tomorrow, but more manageable for your Wednesday and Thursday. Friday and into this upcoming weekend, isolated showers, again, become more limited, and we expect that should possibly limit that ability for the rain cool air to help us out. So we're obviously going to be a little hotter because of that there. So here's a look at a different futurecast, what we call our strike model here, that goes a little deeper in depth. And again, that's part of the reason why it is waiting later in the evening to have some of those thunderstorms. Hence the reason probably should have adjusted up that percentage just a little bit more, because you might have remembered at 5 and 6 o'clock, this was not quite as aggressive on its positioning of where some of these storms would be and keeping them as strong. So I'd say at this point, indications are better that these storms will be a little heavier late in the evening. And it's not inconceivable we could end up with a level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk for tomorrow, kind of based on what I'm looking at here, simply because I think it increases the likelihood of a couple of strong wind gusts. In saying that, this is not a tornado threat. This would be damaging winds if we saw it. And even then, I think most wind gusts, 40 to maybe 50 miles per hour. So that is an update from what we were looking at 5 and 6 o'clock on this. Most of the activity diminishing late in the evening. And then on your Wednesday, likely to see more showers and thunderstorms out there once again. We're watching, of course, back toward the west of us. Again, these kind of waves moving in associated with this storm system. And again, a greater chance to possibly have a few of those somewhat stronger. Now we're showing midday on your Wednesday. Let's bring this in just a little bit closer here for a moment. Stretching with some of the stronger storms from around the 45 corridor back there from Boonville, stretching toward Tupelo and Houston by around noontime. That is a little bit more aggressive, certainly, than some other projections are showing this, but something to certainly watch as we go into the next couple of days. We expect that rain coverage to increase a bit more. We show 3, 4 o'clock there. In fact, speaking of, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to adjust that percentage up on our 7-day forecast. So when I show it to you, it has a slightly higher percentage. Give me 2 seconds to just do that. In particular for your Wednesday, I think there's enough there. We probably can go up 50% on that rain coverage. So let's get that figured out. And now let's continue on. So by Wednesday evening, again, kind of another wave there of moisture, drying things out a little bit by the early hours of early Thursday. But I think Thursday, the combination of this boundary kind of moving at us from the north and west and just the overall coverage of moisture will increase that. Oh, come on. Didn't get that on there yet? Well, that's okay. Well, I think we're going to go up to 50% when you look on the Mississippi Live Weather app. For that percentage, you'll probably hit your phone here in the next couple of minutes. We're 60% for your Thursday, 50% for Friday. I mean, still learning exactly how quickly some of these things update on that. So just one of the things we're working on here is we're learning a new system. I guess 1 week ago today, I was doing something completely different on that. So I guess it's not too fast. Either way, 93 Saturday, 93 Sunday. Notice those temperatures up a little bit. That's because the rain coverage is down just a little bit. So probably the peak on the overall coverage Thursday based on what we're looking at here at this time. And then hopefully things kind of drying out a little bit more, hopefully by the latter part of this upcoming weekend. So with that in mind, since I probably already have a camera pointed back here and can get away with it, let's go ahead and come on back on our other shot here for a moment. And we will see if we can kind of answer some of y'all's questions. Oh, nope, it's wanted to swing that camera back around for me because I didn't program it in. So give me a moment, and we're just going to bring it right on back here. Why? Because we can. And so let's look at some of your questions that you might have related to the weather. I know we had some of those going on a little bit earlier on this evening, so I'd like to catch up with some of those if we can. So got to mow the lawn tomorrow. Thanks for the updates. Yeah, I would be mowing the lawn here before things got too far along on this, simply because the rainfall is obviously going to make it a little more difficult to do that. And now that you say that, I don't have a lot planned for tomorrow morning. I might have to wake up and mow the lawn too. Thank you for that. That was a great idea. Someone says, need a shirt that reads, "In Matt we trust." One of these days I'll trust in him as well. But I appreciate that. How does the graphic system work? So that's actually not a bad question. Let's see if, again, and let's see if I can, of course I'm repping some folks there unintentionally because I wasn't expect that to be on camera. But either way, but love those folks anyway. So I'm using a graphic system. Oh, it's not going to focus in for me because I have autofocus turned off on it. Anyway, this computer here takes and kind of processes everything. It takes the graphics, layers me in front of it. There's a lot that goes into that. And that might be an understatement to say that there's a lot that goes into that. So it's, I don't know, can I do it back there? There we go. So that's kind of how, this is the brains of the operation. This is our main weather computer system here. And I'm not exaggerating to say it is the best severe weather system you can get anywhere. And I feel very blessed that we're at a point where a local operation like this can get our hands on that. I think it's going to be able to really help us during severe weather. So I appreciate that. I appreciate Beverly and your support all the time. Okay, does heat cause more lightning? So there's no such thing as heat lightning. Let's get that out of the way real quick here. I would say that the combination of heat and humidity produces more thunderstorms, and more thunderstorms produce more lightning. Lightning is largely related back to turbulence, in particular ice particles and the way in which they rub against each other. It's a form of static electricity, and so just like there's carpet floors here that you might not be able to see, rubbing your socks on a carpet floor builds up a charge and gives you an opportunity to release it. So I would say the more turbulent the atmosphere, the more likely you are to see lightning, and a very turbulent atmosphere like what we have here on a hot day does increase that potential for a lot of lightning. So again, it's that turbulence that figures in effect on there as well. Is shear involved in lightning? I mean, I would say turbulence and shear can be involved in one another, related there. So I would say sort of. Someone mentions I need another screen or two. Tomorrow's Amazon Prime Day. And I'm not gonna lie, I have a couple computers we need to buy. We're gonna end up with a monitor over there. My wife and I have bought 2 television sets since we've been married, and I have now purchased I don't know how many in the last couple of months getting ready for this, both here at the alternate studio and at the other alternate studio where we're gonna, of course, release our morning meteorologist later on this week, hopefully. We call the Weather Network to report on any weather situations. The best way to send in your weather reports is still probably going to be using the Mississippi Live Weather app. We're still kind of working on the best ways as well. Facebook, this chat will obviously be important to helping us that. Enjoyed going to bed. Hey, you know what, Lindsay? Steve, I'm there with you as well. I'd be ready for that. I'm about ready to, that'll be one of the nice things on occasion. I might try it out tomorrow night from the home studio. Certainly speeds up that process of finishing up at the end of the night. Someone mentioned getting your rain and lightning notice this evening. Hey, I'm glad you like it. The radius on the lightning is 10 miles now. We can shrink that down if you think you're getting too many alerts on that. That is a global thing. I can't shrink it just for you or just for somebody else, leave it bigger. We've chosen, I think, 10 miles on that because that gives you basically a 20-mile radius, 10 miles either direction. You will probably get a few more lightning alerts because of that, but I think that's enough time to get to safety. Occasionally, lightning strikes do go 15 miles away, so that's not an impossibility that we have some issues with that. But yeah, so ultimately, yeah, so that's why we're 10 miles on that there. So appreciate that. Hey, Tashandra, down there in Columbus, glad to hear you. I did pour rain there in a lot of ways. I appreciate all the nice support y'all are having. For those folks here in Thunder and Ingomar, that is legitimate. Too many mice, not enough time. You can kind of see it on my monitor here for a second as I'll bring up that. We do have, of course, a few thunderstorms there in the Ingomar area, but the lightning strikes are not a lot. I show only 12 strikes there. Nothing that's overly strong, and hopefully these rain themselves out are gone pretty quickly. Will there be a fishing forecast? I do not, Crystal, have a fishing forecast together yet. Some of those custom forecasts are on the plan once basically we can get enough people to cover all these shifts consistently, and it's a little less me. Not that I don't want to be here. I will be here very consistently. But just making sure we got weekends and mornings and things like that covered more effectively will certainly help that out at that point. And once we made a few sales, which we have had a number of discussions with the area sponsors, and we appreciate those folks who I have not been able to get back to. There's been an overwhelming outreach from the community on supporting us, and as something that we will try to make our way through those requests as quickly as we can. I just don't want to compromise what's happening on the weather end. I know we got to make money, but once we get weather fully staffed, that's when we'll take more of an impact on that. Roku TV. Brittany was saying we need an app for Roku TV. Supposedly, talking to my consultant, we should have that ready to go 5 p.m. tomorrow is in theory when that should be ready. I do believe Google TV is out now. According to somebody, I have not checked. I have Google TV at home, so I'll have to figure that out, Caleb. But yes, I do think that Google is out, and that Fire Stick should be coming soon, and that the what's the word I'm looking for here? The Google TV's out now, and Roku should be coming 5 p.m. tomorrow. So hopefully that's coming quickly. One of the cool things about Roku, we show these cameras that we do have with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers, right? We've got a lot of them, and that we're contracting with them to show. They are 501c3, of course, would appreciate any support you have for them there. But these cameras, I can only show them in 1920 by 1080, which is resolution. 4K is a higher resolution video, and according to the folks that I've talked to with the app, and I have not seen the latest on the Roku app, we should have a lot of those cameras in there. So, and they should be in a higher resolution than even I can pull them up for you. So I think that's pretty cool and exciting on that app there. Moved to Olive Branch a few years ago, kept Memphis. The weather is, I saw how passionate you were. I appreciate that. Glad to continue to help you there, and appreciate everyone for their support. LG TV app. So if we start talking about specific apps like Samsung and LG and Vizio, it becomes more and more difficult to hit all of those. For you there, and I have the email, and maybe I'll actually fill out the contract and send it in here later this evening. I just have to figure out if I have to print it out, if I can e-sign it. There is an app out there that is more accessible to those that I think we'll be able to be on. There'll be a bunch of other stuff on there as well, so it won't be specific to us. That's called Zeam, Z-E-A-M. They do cover up, you can pull up stations all over the country on that. We will be on that here pretty soon, assuming I ever get my tail feathers in gear and actually get that taken care of. So that will be an option for you. I do not know a timeline on Samsung, Vizio, LG, all those individual apps, because ultimately every one of these TV providers, TCL, they all have their own interface that they're trying to develop their ecosystem on that. But Apple TV, yes. Roku, yes. Google TV, yes. Fire Stick, yes. I feel like there's one I'm missing in there. But those main ones there that the overwhelming majority of people use, those are in the works. Those are in the process of coming out, and hopefully fairly soon. So hi, John, and greetings from Batesville. Good to hear that, that y'all are watching us out there. Well, hey, and someone up there mentioned they plan to be a broadcast meteorologist after high school. I'm excited to hear that. That's part of the reason we do this, is try to keep people inspired, and get them interested in, what's coming next. So always excited for the next generation to be able to do that there. So I would say on LG, the app, as someone's mentioning specifically there, Linda, LG, it's probable that that it's going to be a while before we make it to LG and some of these others, and that's where that ZEAM app, Zeam app, is probably more effective. But yeah, like we have a Samsung TV at my house, but we also have a Roku. We have had a Roku for years, and I love, nothing against Samsung, I just love the Roku interface. It's always been really, really easy for us and our kids to work. So that'll be coming here very, very soon. So hi, and Steens. Someone's asking about UV index. Let's talk about that here for a second, because I've had a lot of folks ask about the UV index. And I love how someone binged me about the Zeam contract here in a second. Let me see if I can make this mirror my screen for a moment. Does that one have this set up? Oh, apparently it's on that screen there. That was not the one I meant to mirror to, but I guess we can do that. Cancel. I think we'll. Nope, not gonna do that one. Okay, so let me try again. Ow, it's not gonna do it. The more gizmos you got, the easier it is to mess up a gizmo, right? I'm gonna come over here. Oh, that's not on there. Hold on. I'm gonna send you back over to here. Ignore the fact that the screen's going to kind of jump on me for a second as I go back up here and I stop and I want to begin from selected and start. So it's going to, is it not zoomed on me? Hold on, if I click to there. There we go. Okay. Give me a moment here. I'll see if I can pull it up on here again. Still learning all the ways to do this. I think we can change this over to, this is, believe it or not, just a giant tablet here. And we'll pull up the app on that. There we go, in very big form. That's a bigger me than me. Okay, so yes. While using app, we'll use location services. I want to show you the UV index. I've just had a lot of people asking about UV index. Sure, allow all the time. But I need to probably make sure I turn alerts off on this or it will not go well when we have severe weather coverage and all of a sudden there's lightning alerts from my area showing up on here. Do not send me notifications I've got issues. Oh, look, there's our stream. Now. So if I go to the little pancake menu, or not pancake, it is kind of like a stack of pancakes over there. And I scroll down on here, where are we at? I'm going to get over the web page for a second. And on the web page here, there is something called Map Room. And in that Map Room, and you can just, make this if you want to, just something that comes up on your home screen. I got to get to the right one here. But under current conditions, a moment, that you will have the UV index under here. Got to remember to show that tomorrow. There we are. Okay. Obviously not doing us a whole lot of good right now, but there's the UV index. Can it zoom it in? Hey, look at that. That actually behaves like a touch screen. So anyway, so we have the UV index on there as well. Now, I think it might be if you're looking for future UV index, and that's what I need to get over there and find out. So I do believe that we have the ability to do the future UV index. I just don't know that I have that on here. So if that's something you're interested in, I need to see if I have current conditions on that. I don't know that I have. I don't know how to go back other than just come back up here. So that is something that I think we could potentially, yeah, because I have climate conditions, and I wonder if UV index is built in on this at all. No, it's not in that widget. So we could do some forecast maps, and UV index possibly one of those. So I think that's a possibility. UV index, I'm a wet bulb globe. So I do have the ability to do wet bulb globe. Hold on, let me see if I can find that. Give me a moment to try to, now that you say that, analysis here. Somewhere I do have that. I have seen that graphic. Show prep. Give me a second. I'll pull that up there. Wet. No, I know I've seen wet bulb globe. Build U. B-U-L. No, not in there. Here, let me pump it back up here so that you can see back to what we were looking at before. If you don't mind, I'm going to take this off. Not because it's bad, just because it's hot in here. It gets hot in here after a while. Let's go back to that. Hold on a second. And I'll bring the laptop over because that's probably going to increase the odds of me finding it for you. Actually, let's come over here to Chroma instead. Give me a second. As we just multitask. There we are. Let's see if we can find that. And I think I can see the chat right there, 2233. Yep, we can. Now, Mrs. Lawpond might get irritated with me if I just talk to y'all all night. I'll be perfectly honest, because she knows I'll do it. No, I've seen wet bulb globe. I think it might be under heat products. Now that's all fire tracking stuff. Well, I shouldn't try to do this right on the fly. I know it's in here someplace because I have seen it. I just have to figure out where it is. So I'll look that up. But yes, we do have the ability to do wet bulb globe. I just don't don't presently have it out and available in here. Let's see what we got here on other questions for a moment. You can see. Yeah, there's some rolling thunder back there in Myrtle, as you can see. I'll zoom that in while we kind of just have it up here for a moment while I'm just sort of reading through the comments. Guess I'm not good at this. The radar only goes to present. Okay, so how do we do future? So let's ignore the fact that it's going to say Gabe, because clearly it's not Gabe, but it's the easiest way for me to pop it back up over here, because it's the way I have it set up for severe weather coverage. So I'm not. Oh, actually, I forgot. That's double box. Next one will say Gabe. Okay, obviously not Gabe. Gabe is getting a well-deserved day off today. But we're giving him, no, do not send me notifications or else it's going to mess things up during severe weather coverage. Okay. Radar. Ooh, now here's the question, whether or not this is going to let me pan down, because I think last time I tried, it does not on this particular one, because it's so big, it does not let me pan down below what I have here. So I can't do that on this screen. Let me think. But I think I can screen share. Hold on. There we are. Hold on. Where is my phone? Okay, hold on. Pull up the app. And I'll see if I can walk you through kind of that issue with the radar. Because again, there's a lot of things on the radar on this app that are cool that I'm not sure if everyone knows about. So here we go. So here's the radar, for example. Couple things to note on this. And I wonder if there's any warnings out there that I can catch. So you do have to, and this is a major annoyance of mine, because again, I love what we've done here, but it's not perfect. You have to go in on specifically toggle on the alerts for when they show up on the map and lightning and things of that nature. So those are things that you have to toggle on if you want to see the warning boxes. Like when we get severe thunderstorm tornado warnings, puts the boxes on there. You have to specifically toggle those on. These out here in Arkansas, those are flash flood warnings. And then one of the cool things I think about it is if you hit that triangle there, it'll kind of pop up the entire warning text, which I think is awesome, personally. So you can kind of see all the information that I would potentially see. Will this make it bigger? No, it won't. Some of the text information that I would see behind the scenes. But for those folks wanting to go to the future, it's right down there on the bottom. And well, let me double check here, because I think there's a caveat to that. Yes, okay. So if you have it set to the high res, like North Mississippi radar, which is what this is set to here, which is basically the stuff that's right off of the radar site down there in Monroe County. So this is the highest resolution local weather radar that you can get on an app easily. And so this shows, again, it's a slightly different color table, but it shows those storms. But you'll notice at the bottom that it goes to the end, right? So when you're on this particular radar, you can only go to that point. There's no future because, again, well, there is a future, but there's no ability to show the future just because the type of radar data we have here tends to have more ground clutter. That's what this is, bugs, and then refracting of the radar image and a radar beam into the ground. So if you go back to national radar on that, what we call national composite, it will have that future option on that to where you can go kind of into the future there as well. And so that's basically an extrapolation couple hour thing. I don't know that I always agree with the angle it goes with. It basically checks pixels and presents it forward. So it's great on squall lines, pop-up storms like this. It's so-so. So just something to keep in mind with that. Then one other thing, well, there's a lot of things on here, but the future radar does decent on it. But as you'll notice, as I kind of wait for the data to populate in there, it's only good as it is. So it does not do well on pop-up storms like what we have there. It is populating with the data right now. So pop-up storms are always going to be a little questionable on the 24-hour stuff. I would rely on that more for, like 10, 12 hours from now as opposed to right now. But like any model, it's so-so. And pretty much any app you get is only going to be so-so like that. Thank God, because we wouldn't have a job anymore if it wasn't the case. Just check some power outages. We actually have a couple power outages out there. I like the power outage stuff on there. Anyway, okay, long tangent. Let's check and see what else y'all got. Biggest nerd I'm here for. I'm a nerd. There's no question about that. See what I have here. What streaming service? You know, we talked a little bit about ZEAM is where it will be. It's not there now. Watching from Jumpertown. Do you have to pay to see your comment? Nope. I just have to get my ADHD to let me zoom in enough on what you're saying to see the comment. Here, I'll bring the clicker over here and we'll test the vision on my glasses. Kind of go up in here. Yeah, so John Buckman there mentioned the wet bulb temperature, something that MSAA uses to gauge if school sports can be outside, and it is kind of a combination of, it's something that the military has used for a long time to judge heat stress, things like that. So we do have the ability to show it. It's just, the graphic doesn't exist yet. It's in the system, the data is there, I've just got to get it into the system, and it just hasn't made it to the top of my priority list yet. It will eventually. It'll just take a little bit of time. Well, good. Okay, so Mary says that she's watching me on her TV. That's good to hear. Hopefully we can get that figured out. Someone's there. My suspenders are showing. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. You're going to see more suspenders out of me because I don't have quite as much air movement in this studio as I would like. This time of year, though, I think every place around here gets a little bit hot, and that's nothing wrong with that. So, well, hi there to everybody at Ashley Furniture there in Ripley. We appreciate the hard work you guys do. Yeah. The suspenders are there just because belts cut you off, and I'm tired of that. So anyway, so yeah, all that to say, there's no severe weather out there now. We're just talking through some things that we haven't really talked through on the app. And I'm trying to remember if a lot of alerts. As you might have seen, there's a lot of alerts going there. So if you have messaged and we haven't got back to you, I'm really sorry about that. At some point here, we're going to be able to do that. We do have a large list of storm shelters available on here as well, and we will be able to show those, you know, on air in our storm tracks and things like that. Closings at some point here we'll have. We've had a lot of questions about Weather Call, and so Weather Call is a service that, you know, I wouldn't necessarily change anything at this point here. It might be something that my voice comes through a different link than what you're getting it through now. So your voice on there might end up changing. Still trying to work through all the details on how that is going to happen. And hopefully we'll have that figured out here fairly soon. Yeah, anyway, so with that in mind, I think we might go ahead and shut this on down. Appreciate, and someone, okay, I do want to mention this on the alerts real quick on the app. One of the cool things is it does, you know, leave your alerts in there that you're getting, so you can go back and see, you know, what alerts have already come through for your location. So if something happens, it's like, well, what was that just came through? You can go back and kind of pull that up, and I do think that's kind of cool. But yeah, anyway, hopefully it's all good stuff for you, and you're enjoying it. Clearly, as you can see there is a little bit of a delay. It's about a 30-40 second delay. I point that out not to disparage what we're doing here, but to give you notice that, you know, when I say you've got 5 minutes, that's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So, you know, when we talk about severe weather coverage, there is at least a little bit of a delay on this. There's a delay on anything you've been watching streaming of ours over the years as well. You know, so if you've watched us on Facebook Live, there's been a delay, 30 to 45 seconds as well on that. But I would just want to make sure we're clear that that is something that you know, there is at least that little delay, that is an issue, and that you build in time accordingly for that. So anyway, with that in mind, thank you so much for kind of watching us here tonight on this, you know, extended blabbing edition of Almost Perfect Show. Maybe one of these days we'll actually have that perfect show, but I think we still have a little ways away before that happens. So that is my hope. That is my goal going forward at some point that we finally get to that point, but still got a little longer for that. So let me slip over here, and I'll see if I can find the end of the show, if we can get off of what we're at there. And y'all have a good night. Be safe, and we will see you. Oh, before we go there, I guess I should probably pitch one more time here. Let's see if it'll actually start where it's supposed to. The various apps. There you go. And if you haven't taken the time to download the app, or you know somebody who might not have, it is still clear, it is still dry at this point here, and now is probably the time to do that downloading, because obviously once storms hit, everybody gets a little anxious. So I appreciate y'all and your support and the ability to share, and hopefully those Roku apps and some of these other apps for your TV will be up and live here pretty quickly. But from all of us here at Mississippi Live Weather, which tonight is just me, keep it here for the latest. Appreciate all your support.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
One in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.